Hello, my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and tonight we're talking with Steve Richards. And Steve, you're based out of Chicago, and I understand your name your company is Steve Richards Tribute. And when we initially set up interviews, because I understand you have a tribute where you pay tribute to Elvis, but you also do tributes to John Denver and Neil Diamond. So I was curious, who did you first start paying tribute to?
Actually, I guess it had to be probably Elvis. Started when I was just a wee lad, as they say in Ireland, a wee lad. You know?
Oh, okay.
And I saw the movie Loving You, and just the fact that I didn't realize how great a voice he had at the time, but I watched the movie and then listened to him, and naturally you saw the girls how they buttered. So that was pretty much that's exactly what John and Paul said, that they wanted to get into this business only because they got to see that girls will come and be honest about it. That's why they did it, and for the moment that's why I did it. But it escalated and revolved into other things too. And once I realized that I could sound like these people, that's when it got really a different direction, because I didn't realize it until I started doing it. The comparison.
Yeah, and let me ask you, Steve. You mentioned you're originally from Ireland. So how old were you?
I'm not from Ireland. I said it. That's how they say it in Ireland. I was a wee lad.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Thank you for correcting me there. So,
I don't want people from Ireland going, he's not from Ireland.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it makes for an interesting story. But anyway, so were you much of a musician before you started paying tributes to these guys, or did you kind of?
Yes. Actually, I was in photography for about 15 years, and I basically loved photography and everything it had to offer, and started to do concerts, and got close to people that I didn't know at the time, and still didn't know, that were going to become superstars.
Wow.
You meet Elton John, and he's 27 years old, and he's doing shows, and you get a relationship going, so to speak, and talking, and when he comes to town, and you see the potential, but never realize, until everything started to really click, that type of person was going to be, bigger than you ever thought. So
yeah,
I did every show you could name. From I was with Led Zeppelin.
Wow.
They were already stars at the time, but Alice Cooper, Led Zeppelin, you name the show, I was doing photography for the record labels for it.
Wow, cool. Let me ask you. I assume that you still have you must have a huge catalog as far as your photography work and stuff, and own all the rights to that, huh?
Oh yes.
Oh wow.
Absolutely. There's memories there, and things that I can't talk about, things that I can't talk about. But a lot of backstage things that I was paparazzi before there was paparazzi.
Wow.
So that's an interesting. Somebody said it to me a while back. They said, you were doing that before anybody was. So but I was very courteous, and I never ever pushed to the point where they push now. I didn't do that. I was be respectful of these people, and they respected you back.
Wow. How cool is that? Now, I imagine, so as far as being a musician, were you always just kind of a singer? Do you play any instruments?
I play the piano. I got to meet Liberace.
Wow.
Elton was pretty cool, but again, I wasn't into the rock thing because I didn't really, understand some of the lyrics to the songs. But I went to see Liberace just for his showmanship, and after I saw him, I said, I think I should start playing the piano.
Wow.
So I went to piano lessons for about 10 years. So that gave me an extra edge. But then I think the real thing comes to when you're in a stadium and there's 30 or 40,000 people and you look around and they're all screaming for one person, you say, I really like this.
Yeah, wow. And so, let me ask you, what's the tribute scene like there in Chicago where you are? I mean, here where I'm talking to you from Los Angeles, California, and the tribute scene started getting really big out here, like in the early 1990s, and it's just it's amazing to me what it's become today. Has there always been much of a tribute scene out there, or what's that like?
It's the same thing here. I mean, people come up with new ideas all the time, and there's tributes to probably everyone from John Mellencamp to tons of Rolling Stone tributes. You name it. If it's people want to see it, don't Journey naturally. So they involve with Styx and Journey and Kansas, and these guys, they make it a point of it's very difficult. A lot of people think it's easy, but to do this kind of stuff, it takes a lot of work and a lot of discipline.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that point, Steve, because I got to tell you, one of the reasons I started doing these interviews with guys like you that, or in tribute bands and pay tribute to these legendary artists, because a lot of people have this misconception that, guys that, do tributes, they couldn't make it doing their own original thing, but that's not necessarily the case as I've seen. And so I guess the best place to really get the interview going now is to ask you, being somebody who's a musician yourself, why did you decide to go the route of, doing a tribute where you're, playing...
I think you call it a gimmick, and, Lee Greenwood, if you're familiar with him, his wonderful song, I'm Proud to Be an American, he started off as a Kenny Rogers impersonator.
Okay.
Because he was in Vegas, and all he was a dealer at one of the tables. And between, I guess, breaks, they'd need somebody in the lounge to perform, and he would go in there and do some, Lady and, all these songs, and record label said, you sound a lot like Kenny Rogers, let's do some stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a gimmick. Naturally, I want to do my own stuff too, which I'm slowly putting together, but to get people to listen, just like the group G-Trick. They did covers, and then slowly they pulled the covers away and started doing their own material. So you need something to get your foot in the door. Yeah,
I totally understand that. Now let me ask you, Steve. You bring up like another word that gets thrown around a lot is impersonator. Do you see yourself more as a tribute act, or would you call yourself an impersonator? What do you like to label?
See, I say tribute artist. That's been the term. Impersonator almost sounds like you're doing something low. People can call it anything they want as long as they're enjoying it. I don't really care. If they can sit back and forget their troubles for a few hours and come out, more exhausted than me, which is hard to do, then I've done my job.
Yeah, because again, to me, I almost like to call this rock and roll theater, if you will. I mean,
I like that.
I have respects for all kinds of music, from Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, whatever you want.
Absolutely.
And everything in between. But what I really love about what guys like you do is, it's more than like, a band of just 4 or 5 guys in their jeans and t-shirts up on stage. It really is theater, like in the sense that, like in your case, you're paying tribute to Elvis. So when people go to see your show, the Elvis Presley story, they're seeing a guy that not only sounds like Elvis, but he looks like Elvis. He plays the parts. He plays the songs just the way Elvis played them. It's more than just a guy in a cover band, up on stage. And I think that's what people are missing here.
Yeah. Again, everybody, certain people, I've seen Elvis impersonators, and there's good and there's bad. And if you're bad, sometimes, people just don't see it or don't hear it, and it's kind of sad, or they do because, they play bars. I don't like playing bars. My band and I, or I'll do it with recorded tracks, we try to go for the places where people are actually going to watch the show, and, because, I'm going to do, certainly people like McCartney, he has a lot of fun on stage.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any fun, you're not sure, because, that's the whole point of it, is you're having fun, and don't take yourself too seriously. Don't believe your own publicity, because you're going to lose yourself. And I know people that actually walk around thinking they're Elvis. And
it's amazing, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And one thing I understand about the show you put on, which again is called the Elvis Presley story, is typically guys that do Elvis, you typically do either the early era or the later era. You kind of encompass, from what I understand, from the very beginning to the very end of his career.
Well, we ended in Vegas because I think that was his highest point as far as when he was really. He was good when he was, when he was on tour in the 70s, because I did see him. But in Vegas, we want to leave it on a high note. and ended, not with Can't Help Falling in Love, which is, the end of it ended in Vegas with The Impossible Dream.
Yeah.
And that's different, and we try to do things and have fun with people when we're doing that, and yet I will come up with different verses and make up my own lyrics to songs, which he would do on stage too.
Yeah.
You never knew. His band always said, I have to talk with his band. You never knew what Elvis was going to do on stage. Even when, in Vegas, he would just throw things at you, and you better be ready because here it comes, and, you'll look like a fool, and he won't because he's the guy. So it's nice to be able to throw a curve at somebody and see if they can catch it.
And let me ask you, in your decision to pay tribute to Elvis, I was curious, was it also, did you always have people telling you, hey, you look so much like Elvis, or you sound like him?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and that's very, very, they say, cool.
Yeah.
But the best part of it is that I got this from Elton John. He said every song is a 2-minute movie.
Yeah.
And if you do it the right way, they're watching this movie and they're going to interpret it, the way it's supposed to be done. And I really want it to be interpreted as, there's got to be some drama, there's got to be some passion in the song and in what you're doing, so that you can actually lose yourself in whatever the song is.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing to me about Elvis is, like you're bringing up earlier, he obviously, was a singer, and he started getting into the movies and some acting. A lot of those movies, they have almost like a extended music video in the sense that, they have a lot of, musical parts throughout the movies. But were you a fan of those movies as well, as the music?
Oh, well, only a few movies, as they say.
Yeah.
The highest movies that he got really high scores for, because he really started to show some really acting ability, was for like King Creole, Jailhouse Rock, Love You, and I think Love Me Tender. After that, they started to come, the stupid kind of movies where, there's a girl in it, music is going to come up, he's going to sing, and, it became a formula, and he hated that.
Yeah.
He hated it completely, but he signed a contract, and the colonel, you got to do it, because I want my money, and, he just hated it, and that's why he stopped it, because he couldn't take, the scripts were horrible, and those movies that I mentioned were when, I think in King Creole, because it was really excellent, I think he won an Oscar nomination or something like that. They said, this kid's starting to really act. So he was really piercing and really trying to be a good actor, and the songs were great, and it was part of the movie, and there's a lot of passion in what he did. He had, I think William F. Buckley said he had one of the greatest voices ever in the world of anybody, and I agree with that too.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, if you look at some of his movies, just in, some of the musical pieces, it kind of predates what, music videos became.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Jailhouse Rock, he arranged the entire movie scene. He choreographed the entire scene. And I don't think he knew exactly what he was doing, but he knew what he wanted. And if you watch it, who knew? It's perfect. He was one of those people that just was getting better and better and better, just like the Beatles.
Yeah, and I can hear in just talking to you, Steve, you have a real passion for what you do, and, the great thing about that to me is it's almost like you're an Elvis fan first, if you know what I mean, and you're kind of one of the guys that was in the audience, and you jumped up on stage, and now you're playing this music that, influenced you so much.
Yeah, that's the fun of it, really, because, and I see a lot of guys that do other impersonations too, but again, if there isn't any of that real passion that I can feel, that I can actually hurt and go back and say, like, you listen to Desperado, that's the Seinfeld show, but any song will take you to a place where you remember, and you'll say, you know what, I remember what happened that day. Or if you hear American Pie, when it first came out, I remember when that song first came out, where I was, and it throws you back to that time when you went, wow, and things, it's nice to reminisce for a minute or two and think about, when things were just starting to open up, Buddy Holly and things like that. So, I watch all these movies all the time, and La Bamba, and see how these guys started, and, everybody thinks being a star is easy, seriously, and I know what it's like to go in the studio and take after take after take after take after take until it's a clean take.
Yeah, and Elvis is probably one of the most loved artists, and I mean I think he's probably got to be number one as far as have to have one of the most number of tribute acts.
He is.
And so what is it about Elvis do you think that people just loved so much?
I think the fact remains that he didn't realize how blessed he was.
Yeah.
And he just kept doing what he did. And, like he said one time, he came out and he started wiggling, and the women were going crazy. And he got off stage, and the guy said, go up there and do it. He goes, what did I do? He says, go up there and wiggle your legs. He goes, wiggle my legs? I didn't even know I was doing it. I mean, because it was such a natural thing for him. He didn't even realize that he was doing something because he was so involved, because he learned from watching people in gospel church in Tupelo and in Memphis. So it just became a normal thing to him. Just like, I guess, Bobby Darin snapping his fingers. I don't think he planned it.
Yeah.
It's just something that just came about.
And so let me ask you, how many years have you now, been doing this Elvis tribute? I mean, do you remember how many years?
I've been doing tributes, just tributes. Elvis, I just put Garth Brooks in when he first started out about 1990,
wow.
which is a real kick because he's just, an amazing guy. And I have to say, I'm very proud that I had a chance to actually sing with Garth in Vegas.
Wow.
In 2012. Got to do a duet with him.
Wow, how cool is that? And Steve, I got to ask you now. Again, we're talking about you're like a lot of people. You're an Elvis fan first and a performer second, and it's great you're playing these tunes and keeping the legacy alive. But I got to ask you, from a time going back to 1990 when you first started doing this, how much would you say the show has changed?
Oh, it changes all the time because you grow and realize that you get better and better if you realize your own mistakes. You have to be honest with yourself. You cannot keep on pumping yourself up, and you realize also that you want people that are with you in the show to tell you the truth. I mean, I respect Simon Cowell when he was on American Idol only because he was a little blunt and a little bit too honest. But I respect that because he didn't want people to walk away thinking something else because you feed yourself the stuff, and then when you get up there, it's a letdown. So I really need criticism, good or bad. If you can't take criticism in this business, then you shouldn't be in it because that's part of it is hearing the good and the bad.
And Elvis again is one of these artists. He's just so loved, and like there's so many tributes.
Loved at first. They when he did a couple things for some guys at the Louisiana, some place, they said, I mean, he really, if you watch the movie with Kurt Russell, they try to keep it. Dick Clark tried to keep it as real as possible. He got out there, and his songs were selling a little bit in Memphis, and he really, did a great job on the stage for this guy. He goes, "What do you think?" And I goes, "Go back to driving a truck." I just destroyed him, and he went backstage and he took the guitar and smashed it into 1,000 pieces because, I mean, the guy just shot him down completely, but he didn't give up.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Is a lot of people will hear that and say, "You're not made for this," or "You're never going to do it," and look what happens. It happens all the time, so you just don't know.
Yeah, like when you look out to the crowd, are you amazed at the people coming to see you? I mean, how many people are? I mean, do you think part of that is because you got a guy like you paying tribute to a guy like Elvis, who Elvis is no longer around,
Is, like you said, he's known all over the world.
Yeah.
Somebody said when I went to Graceland, because I had to go there many times, they said if everybody in the world does have an Elvis record, if they line them up one by one, it would go around the equator 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I guess the point I'm trying to make here is like, you got AC/DC tribute bands and tributes like that, and the actual bands are still around and touring. Elvis, though, he's passed on, and you're never going to see the real Elvis again. So that's part of why people come to see a show like what you put on, because you're never going to see Elvis again, but they want to hear the music, they want to experience it still.
They want to hear the music, but they also want it done the way they expect it, and not to be looked upon as a joke, because we don't, I mean, I've seen so many acts, and it's just jumpsuits, sunglasses, and throwing scarves, and jumpsuits, and, that's not what he was all about. I mean, he really had incredible talent, and loved gospel music. That was his first love, gospel. Of all the things, he won a I guess, a Grammy for his gospel album. Of all the things, he won gold records, sure, but he won a Grammy for his gospel album. That was the only Grammy I think he ever won.
That's kind of interesting. I never knew that. Well, see, you learn something new every day. But now let me ask you, like you're bringing up Graceland and that. Have you ever attended any of these Elvis conventions?
I attended one or two of them, and it's kind of a circus.
Yeah.
Because everybody's walking around. That's like, and even women too. And they're talking, and they're from like Milwaukee, and they're talking like they're from the South. And I ask, why are you talking that way? And they kind of look at me, because I don't take it that seriously. I don't think Dustin Hoffman walks around and thinks he's the Rain Man. I don't think Tom Cruise walks around and thinks he works for the IMF Force in Mission Impossible. You got to separate what you're doing. It's a show, and that's all it is. It's a show. If you do a good show, you get the applause, and you also feel it inside because a lot of his songs come from where he was, and he came from the bad part of life where they didn't have enough money to pay rent. They were living in housing projects.
Yeah.
They didn't know if they were going to eat that night. So when he sings like "Walk a Mile in My Shoes," he really means it because he knows. And when he was being interviewed, he's like, "I cannot believe I went from driving a truck." It seemed like overnight. He became the biggest star in the world by the age of 22.
Wow, how cool! And so, like, when you do a show, Steve, like, I was curious, what's the after show like? I mean, you must have people coming up to you and say, "Oh man, you just."
Yeah. They think it's a lot of people think I'm lip syncing, which is nice. And then I got to do a song a cappella, which I don't mind doing. And that's kind of nice too, because then they just look at me and because I do have perfect pitch. And once in a while, somebody will say something and say, "Do you know this one?" And they'll challenge me, and I love to hear a challenge.
And let me ask you, because you bring this up earlier. After you have meet and greets and people come up to you after a show. You ever have any crazy Elvis diehards, especially like coming up talking to you like they think you're Elvis? I mean, they know you're not Elvis. Talking to you.
If I thought I was, they would probably walk away. But I say thank you for coming to the show. I hope you enjoyed it. And they go, enjoy isn't the word. We came out of we were skeptics, and you made us really feel the Elvis spirit. And that's the whole point of it, is he had a spirit inside of him when he sang, certain songs. I mean, You'll Never Walk Alone. I mean, he cried inside, and I've been there to say, don't, you gotta walk in those shoes to be able to sing some of these songs, from anybody, I've come from those times when, you think you're all by yourself and it's just you and God, and you feel like, you're going to go down and you're not going to get up. And that's what he felt like. And he comes in his, he's just he was an amazing man. Too bad he didn't have enough friends that cared enough about him. But he was one of the most amazing entertainers in the world.
And let me ask you, getting serious here for a little minute. Do you remember where you were when you first learned of Elvis's death? And
yeah, I'll never forget it. Yeah, I just came off the road. I was with the Big City Rollers.
Oh wow!
The group you'll never,
yeah.
And I came home and I turned on the TV, and it was the news because I was exhausted. And they said blah 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 blah, and the King of Rock and Roll is dead. Details at 4. And I went. When they said the King of Rock and Roll, I called up one of my friends who did photography with me, and I said, Elvis is dead. He goes, no, they must have meant Chuck Berry. I said, no, there's no other King of Rock and Roll. It said Elvis. He goes, no, you made a mistake. Naturally, 4 o'clock came about. It was just one of the most incredible, where were you when JFK was shot?
Yeah.
Where were you when Elvis died? Where were you on September 11th? Those 3 things are going to resonate in my life for the rest of my life. He was too young to die. I mean, we're all too young to die when you get to the point, but, he really had more to give, and it was cut short, and it's so sad because, he really didn't realize how much he was loved.
Yeah, such an iconic guy. I mean, like you said, he died so young, but at the same time, still look at the body of work he left behind. I mean, people are still listening to his music.
Amazing work.
And it just totally amazes me. And one of the first tributes I seen to Elvis is they had a show for years in Vegas called Legends. Have you ever seen that or anything like that?
Yes, we worked with Legends a while back when we were doing Neil Diamond. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they're a tremendous show, and they really look for the best of the best, and they do it. But again, when one of their Elvises gets sick, they've got like 60 in line waiting for Marilyn Monroe or Buddy Holly or any of the top people or the Blues Brothers. Yeah, it's a great show. And they moved from Imperial Palace to another theater in Vegas. But yeah, they're fantastic. They always search out the best of the best. Yep.
Yeah, wow. And a lot of these tribute acts have really become a corporate thing now. I'd like to ask you, like, your show, the Elvis Presley story. I imagine it's choreographed in the sense that you kind of have an idea of what numbers you're going to play and what outfits you're going to wear and all that. How hard is that to get a show like that together?
It's very difficult. It needs to be well thought out where we're going to go with this, how we're going to produce it, how we're going to organize it, and how we're going to unleash it on the public. It's like a balloon, how you're going to let that balloon of helium just go and keep going and going and going. I make about, I think, between 4 and 5 costume changes, but there's no intermission. I want to make sure you understand that.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, there's no intermission.
Wow.
We start at 8, we go on till I think 10, 10:30. And I don't have no problem with that because that's the way I used to perform a long time ago. I mean, when you go to a concert, there's no intermission.
No.
Any concert you go to, Springsteen, but Bruce is he's amazing. He'll go for 10 hours,
Yeah.
And his band knows that. But there is no intermission. So I try to make sure people understand that. So, you just sit down and if you have to, you go. But there is no intermission. We go.
Yeah. And let me ask you, Steve, when people come to see you perform, is it primarily just like an evening with Steve Richards, or do they get an opening band? What's the formula?
There is no opening.
Oh, that's cool.
Nobody has to open for me because people are coming to see me, and we let them ride on a roller coaster that doesn't stop. It's from the minute we step on that stage, we just take them for that ride, and every time we do something, we try to do something different each time because that's what performers do, and that's what Elvis did. He never did the same song the same way twice, and that's important to a show. So I'll do things that are different, just like he did.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will stick with the old things and say the same things that he said when he was doing the Hawaii show, but I found out that from Elvis's people, he would change it all the time and throw things to the band and change the words and throw this song out and it's fun because nothing is more fun than being up there and knowing that people are just rocking and rolling with you.
And let me ask you, Steve, do you pretty much just primarily play locally in Chicago, or have you taken your show all over the place?
We travel all over, yes.
Wow. Because, initially when I set up this interview, I'd seen an ad on Facebook for the Elvis Presley show, and then I was kind of interested to learn that you also, as we were saying earlier, pay tribute to John Denver and Neil Diamond. I was, they're all three are, iconic figures and legendary artists, but they're also, Elvis is very different from John Denver, so I think right there that speaks, of how talented of a guy you must be, even just to sing this stuff, but how hard is it to do Elvis Presley?
It comes down to the fact that I test myself, and that's the best thing you should try to do, and see where your high points are, and your low points are, and your strong points are, and if I can amaze myself, then I know I'm good. As far as talented as I am, that's for the audience to judge. I don't think I should ever be the one to say that.
Well, okay.
I think God's given me some wonderful blessings, and I appreciate them. And it's just wonderful things because I do touch people through the music and through their spirit and their soul. And they come over to me afterwards, and there's been some sad stories which I won't go into detail, but they start to cry, and I don't know these people, and we start to get close, and they hold my hand, and they grip it, and they're sweating, and it just, that's what the payoff really is. Again, you get paid for what you do, and the band gets paid, but when you get somebody that holds your hand and is crying with you, you did something, and you said something in a song, and I'm like, I don't know what one or anyone. You can't buy that in the store.
And as far as paying tributes to these guys, Steve, I got to ask you, like, in the case of Elvis and John Denver, they're both no longer with us. So when you're paying tributes to guys that have, passed on, I'd imagine there's an extra feeling of responsibility to, to do this music justice and perform it, the best you can.
Yes, and Elton John also. Even though I've worked with him and know him, I do his stuff too. And,
okay.
And, I saw his plights. But never saw him to the degree that it came out with. But yeah, his songs are amazing too. And Bernie writes the lyrics, and the lyrics are just amazing. They're so. If you hear Rockin' Man today, it sounds as fresh as it did when you heard it in 1970. Why? Because the soul of the entertainer and the spirit is in that song, and that's what makes it. That's why these songs are standards, as they say. They never grow old. They're always as fresh. That's what makes them superstars.
And I'd imagine, like, if you were just paying tribute to Elvis, like we've been talking, as a performer, you might get kind of bored with that. But doing these other tribute acts, I think, is a way to keep it, keep yourself entertained, keep it fresh for yourself and the audience.
Yeah, it is. I had the pleasure in 2012 to meet Paul McCartney. I got friends with John Lennon, which is, at the time it was my heart beating.
Wow.
And we became, I guess you'd say, acquaintances. And we would talk on the phone periodically. I did work for George. I did photography. And then in 2012, I got to meet Paul in St. Louis. And he was very quiet and shy, but he made some mentions about some things, and you remember what he said and the moments and things like that, and got to see his sound check, and he's just a down-to-earth guy that's chewing gum and in jeans and sneakers on stage, and what are we going to do, guys? And let's do a song. They're like, I got a guitarist up here. Anybody want to help me out on? And he just started going into one of the old Beatles songs with just him and the guitar, and it was like me and maybe I'd say 30 other people for the sound check. And he started doing, I forget what Beatles song it was, but it was one of those from 1960.
Wow.
And it wasn't even in the show. They took some honey off a tree, they dressed it up, and they called it me. Now everybody wants to be my baby. I think that was it. Everybody wants to be my baby. Everybody wants to be my baby now. And he was just doing it just to have, just to break the monotony. He goes, I'll do that maybe in the show if I want to. I haven't done it in a while. So
Wow.
It just, the fact remains that he doesn't, like he said, people come over to him and say, you touched me in this way and your music did that. And he goes, no, don't get that involved about it. It's just words strung together.
Yeah.
Like John said, they're just words strung together, and if they're working and they sound good, it's like a marriage. It works.
Yeah,
Don't read into it like it's something else. Like with Madman Across the Water, they said Elton did that. It's about Nixon. He goes, it's not about Nixon.
Yeah.
It's not. But people said, oh no, it's about Nixon. So he went to Bernie and said, write some rubbish and let's put it together. And he wrote a song called Soleil Mi Presti Gaman. And Bernie just threw some stuff together and found out that there were names of fishes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a.
People said there were names of fishes. He didn't know what it was. He threw some melody together and some lyrics. And that was it.
And it's amazing, like you said.
It's just a wonderful combination that lyrics and melody go together.
It's amazing, like you said. Sometimes there's just this chemistry. I mean, you talk about guys like Elton John and Bernie. I mean, Elton's kind of he's a voice, and Bernie writes the stuff that he's singing about, and if you didn't.
And they never in the same room together.
And it just.
He's in Australia, and Elton's in New York, and he'll fax them, or now he'll email him lyrics, and Elton will try for 30 minutes to an hour. If it doesn't work, he throws it on the floor. So he can write a song in an hour.
And see,
he wrote, I think he wrote the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album, which is one of his finest ones. I mean, double album. He wrote all those songs in 2 weeks, and then started to lay down the tracks in the country he was in. I think it was Australia or whatever it was, or Scotland.
Yeah.
And he's a prodigy. He was a prodigy.
Yeah, it's amazing that they could have that kind of chemistry or interpretation. I mean, even you take a band like the Who, I think what people don't realize is, everybody thinks, oh, that's Roger Daltrey, he's singing this stuff, but it's Pete Townsend, a guitar player. He's a voice. Pete's writing all the songs, and it's just amazing when people stop and realize that. Even what you're doing with your Elvis tribute, Elvis is no longer with us, but you're up there on stage performing his songs. People come to your show, and you bring back, when you play these songs, you bring back memories to them, and it's just an amazing. You're an interpreter, so to speak, but you're keeping the legacy alive, and that's a great thing about what you're doing, Steve.
Well, I'm the messenger, but I also do things that, as I said, are different because a lot of people, a lot of kids come to the show. The parents bring the kids, which I really enjoy. You've got 10 and 11-year-old kids and maybe 7-year-old kids that didn't realize these songs, and they hear these things from some records, and they hear all shook up. They didn't know about that. Or I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, which when he was just starting, or Heartbreak Hotel, nobody does Heartbreak Hotel anymore, which I can't understand because it's such a great song. So we try to bring some knowledge to the man and give a history of where he came from to become the guy in the jumpsuit. Because it didn't just, happen that way. And he really struggled, and he fought for what he earned, and he really earned it. He really did.
Well, it's like anything in life. If you, even like what you're doing, if you work hard at anything, hopefully, success will come your way, because I've always been a person to believe if you put the hard work and effort, you're going to, hopefully it'll pay off and something good is going to come your way.
Well, God has a plan, and as I said, it's three things. It's like, not now, later, or I have something better for you. So I'm into the point where I've got something better and greater waiting for you. And you know what? If this is it, who knows? I love it because it's got such good feeling behind it. I can't explain. It's very hard to explain the feeling that you get, because sometimes I'll tear up in one of these songs. I tell the audience, I said, please forgive me if I lose myself like Bridge Over Troubled Water and I start to sound raspy or something like that, because I know what it was like when these words and these melodies, I mean, just like George Harrison singing Here Comes the Sun, I'll hear that song and I'll just start to feel the pain inside, because he wrote that from his heart. When I hear John singing certain songs, like Imagine, oh my God, he was ahead of his time. Peace is the way. This is always the way. And all he was saying is, can we give peace a chance? And when you hear Imagine, it just takes you to everything that he was all about. He said, I'm an artist first and a politician second.
Yeah,
what a guy he was. I mean, if you want to know about John Lennon, he was painfully honest and extremely, outrageous. If he told you something, or pushed you aside or something, but he was real. He didn't candy coat anything. That's why I really loved him, is because he was the real McCoy. And there's nobody, there's certain people that touch my lives, and I met 3 of the Beatles, so they closed the lid on me.
Yeah. Yeah, and the great thing talking to you, Steve, I can hear the passion in your voice for, and your love for what you do, and that to me is that's the true meaning of success, that you're able to do in life what you really enjoy. I mean, there's nothing worse than having like a job of any kind that you just hate going to. It must be wonderful to be able to, have a level of success you've had, and to just really be doing what you enjoy.
Yeah, and the band feels it too, and we're all a group. It's a family, and when you have a family, you all come in together, just like Springsteen said. He came up with the thing where people said, in concert. He said, no, we're in concert for you. You're coming to see us. We're not in concert. He kind of changed it around, and I respect it immensely out of him. So that's the whole thing, is people are coming to see us, and we've got to give them everything we got, and we can't hold back anything. And that's what most performers do, is they just keep going, because there's some kind of adrenaline rush that you get, but also you get something personal for yourself that I can't explain it. You'd have to be there and feel it, and it's a feeling that comes from God.
Yeah, and amazing thing, just one thing that just popped in my mind as we were talking. You mentioned about John Lennon, and what a great songwriter, and how all his songs have great messages. I mean, you take a guy like even John Denver, take a I heard one of his first his biggest hit when he was first starting out was "Leaving on a Jet Plane." How ironic when you think about the sad way he died. He was in a tiny one-engine plane, and he really did leave on a jet plane, which is kind of really ironic if you think about it.
Yeah, he actually knew that. From what we heard, that he knew that the plane he was in was headed for disaster. He could have killed people, but he pointed the plane towards the ocean.
Wow.
So he knew that, he basically knew. But, one of the best songs of John Denver that I love is called Perhaps Love. It's the last song he wrote. I love Jim Croce also. He's another one that was just amazing. Left, too soon. But Perhaps Love, he wrote that, and he sent it to Annie, his wife. They were divorced, but she was getting remarried, I believe, and he sent it to her, express, and she read it and heard, I guess, the tape, and she just broke down and cried. And then I think a couple of weeks later, he died at 56 or 57 in the plane crash.
Yeah.
Same with Jim Croce. He had a big fight with his wife, and he went out and got drunk, a couple beers, and he wrote the song, "I Have to Say I Love You" in a song, which is a classic.
Wow.
And he came home that night drunk and got a guitar next to the bed and sang it to her. And then 2 weeks later, he was in a plane crash, and that was his epitaph.
Yeah, and obviously, paying tribute to all these guys is just a great thing. But like we were saying, Elvis and John are no longer here. But then, Neil Diamond's still pretty relevant. He's not as big as he once was. But I mean, he recently put out a new album. Have you had a chance to hear that?
Oh yes, he's done it again. He actually has got his creative juices flowing. Once you get into that place, and I've worked with some people from Nashville too, it starts to work for you as long as you take your breaks and really try to think of things. Because like they said with songs, everything has to kind of form an image in your mind, which I really appreciate these lessons. Like when I wrote "I'm the One," saw you dancing on the ocean, okay?
Yeah.
Ocean, right? You see the ocean.
Yeah.
So everything you say, the lyrics are really important. I don't know if people really listen to lyrics nowadays as much as they should, but the lyrics are really what sells the song. The melody is very important, but if you hear that lyric and it just, it hits you and it brings something out of you. Like right now, Garth Brooks has a new song now called "Mom," and I don't know if you've heard it.
No.
But it's amazing. It's an amazing song, and he sings it with all the passion that he has, and he starts to tear up because his mom was very important in his life, and so was his dad, and they got to see him as a success. But this song is about a little baby talking to God. Now, it's just so wonderful, and it's, I think, hitting the charts at #1 already because he's Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
But the song in itself, you listen to these lyrics, every woman that I've seen listening and watching the song, they hold their chest because it's about a little baby talking to God, and that's all there is to it. I'm not going to say anything more than that.
Yeah, you take guys like we've been talking about John Lennon, Rod Stewart, Neil Diamond. I mean, these are guys like you're saying, that they're storytellers. I like to say, because when you listen to their songs, they've got a meaning. It's more than just I want to hop in the back seat of my car and
Right, exactly. The people or kids nowadays just are listening to lyrics, and there's some really good music out there too. I mean, I'll listen to rap if it gets to the point where I guess where I just don't like what they're saying. I'm not going to listen. But there are some really good people out there in the industry that are trying to make a message to everybody that we're here and we're doing some songs, but we're also here for peace also, and that's the way to go. Is making people happy, and that's what we try to do with the music and with the tributes too. Is to incorporate a good feeling instead of anger and all the fear that we have. We don't need that. Music is supposed to take you and bring you to another place that is like Oz. And if you can do that, it's a wonderful place to be. And you listen to other songs, and you grasp little bits and strands from other people, and you try to incorporate that too. So that's what I try to do, is listen to everyone and listen and enjoy all music.
And I was curious, you were mentioning that your acquaintances are friends with Elton John. Have you ever had the opportunity to have him come see a tribute you do to him?
Well, no, when we were working together. Tiki D and I were very close. Who did "Don't Go Breaking My Heart"?
Oh,
she
okay.
had a career. It came to a point, and then it kind of settled in. But her big song was "Don't Go Breaking My Heart" with Elvis. That's what made her a star.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We were backstage in Chicago, and I got to the piano, and I started doing it, and she just lost her mind. And we started doing it together. I went, "Don't go breaking my heart." And she was doing, you take the weight off of me. And I was, "Oh, honey, why you knock on my door?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Wow." Because Elvis has a very high range. And I know a lot of people that try to do it. And again, I don't abuse myself in the sense I don't smoke and I don't drink. And I take care of what I have. And that's important if you're going to be an artist or a singer or a performer. No matter what you do, take care of your gift because it can be taken away from you as quick as you got it.
And so let me ask, Steve, when you're scheduling your shows, how do you work the schedule out as far as like, okay, is it a matter of like, we're going to have a week worth of Elvis shows, we're going to have a week worth of John Denver shows? How do you work that out?
I have a manager that poses to them what they want. They get what they want. Some people want a Neil Diamond and Elvis show.
Okay.
Some people want an Elton John and Neil Diamond show.
Okay.
Some people want a Billy Joel and a Garth Brooks show. So, again, they have the opportunity to mix and match whatever they want. It's almost like, if you want to wear these pants with this suit, you can, or these shoes, go with that. So we give them the advantage more so than a lot of things. People call me like not a triple threat, I'm like a quadruple threat.
Wow. Hey, well, there you go. And again, if you got the ability to do it, why not? Now, I guess next question I'd like to ask you, like with Elvis, do you have a favorite song to perform, or is there, as far as Elvis Presley story, is there a favorite part of that show?
God. Yeah, there's so many wonderful songs in the Elvis Presley story. I mean, when he first started out, he was doing, "That's All Right, Mama." I mean, that's the song that really started, because he came on that by accident. I mean, he was trying everything in the studio, and nothing worked. And Sam Phillips, who I'm certainly glad had the pleasure to meet, which was an experience in itself, we talked for a long time, and he said nothing worked. And all of a sudden, they were starting to pack up, and they just started ripping into this song, and they started to do it. And they said, "Wait a minute, what are you doing?" I go, "No, we're just fooling around." He said, "Well, keep fooling around, because that's something we've never heard before." And he just took an old song by Arthur Crudup. I heard the original, and it's a very slow song. "That's all right, Mama." That was it.
Wow.
And he just made it into, "Well, that's all." He just rocked it. He rocked the heck out of it. And
yeah,
if you want to taste it, I could give you a little taste of it if you want.
Sure, why not?
Let's see what we got here, because I've been working all night. I always work in the night. That's all right, Mama. That's all right to you. That's all right, Mama. Anyway you do, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right, Mama. Anyway you do. There you go.
Wow, that gives me chills, Steve. I gotta say, there's no after hearing that, there's no doubt in my mind that people should go check out the Steve Richards tribute shows. Definitely some talent there. Now, before I let you go, Steve, I got to ask you: have you ever thought about? I'm sure as far as rehearsing you do this, but have you ever thought about like recording your show like for a live DVD or any kind of CD? Or
we have a few, and people actually want to pay for them. And I don't know. I get to the point where I say, I don't know if I should do that, or should just go and get the original, because I'm just a copy.
Yeah.
And they say, "Well, I like what you do," and I say, "Well, I'll consider it." I don't know. I have to. People have been asking me about it. Sometimes, I might do it. I don't know, but I really enjoy the fact that they come over to me and they said, the best thing I think is when you have women naturally are they're very, very, very emotional. That's what they are looking towards, and they really love it. When you get guys to come over to you and shake your hand and say, "You're really great," that is something that I don't expect.
Yeah.
And when you get that is like, and they go, "Can I buy you a drink?" Or and they just say, "I came in very, very against this, and now I'm one of your biggest fans, and we're going to go home tonight, and we're just going to reminisce and talk about what you did, because you gave me some great memories, and I'm going to carry them with them." And I thank everyone. I always come out buying stuff, and I say, "Hey, don't put it on eBay." And there's stuff on eBay of my stuff.
He gets to be.
Autographed in his picture. I'm like, I told him not to do that, but it's fun.
But to me, that's like the ultimate compliment. Because again, it's more than just a guy in a cover band. It's more than just a guy get up on stage and playing Elvis songs. I mean, people enjoy it that much that they want like a souvenir. Hey, give me a CD so I can play this for my friends or show my friends how.
It's a lot of fun, and I just don't take it seriously. In the sense that you got to kiss my ring or things like that. But there's people that do, as I said before. It's sad because they really don't realize. The man was good, and the man was incredible. He's gone, but let people enjoy the good stuff about him and his work, which will speak for a billion years, hopefully. Just like all the other people from Sinatra all the way down, they're icons, and they're comets, and they're here for a short time, and then they're gone. So enjoy them while they're here.
Yeah, well, as they say, rock and roll never forgets, and I can talk to you all night, Steve. It's been so great talking to you, and maybe we'll have to do it again. But like I said, the interview should go up like in a week or so. And the minute it does, I'll let your manager know. And I just really enjoyed talking to you, and I'd love to get to see you, but like I said, I'm in LA, so I just really enjoyed talking to you. Is there anything else you'd like to say to people before we let you go?
I just say come to our shows, have a good time, and forget your problems, and just let me take you on that Willy Wonka trip, and I'll give it 200,000%. That's all we do, and we, just don't let anybody go out unsatisfied. They walk out and they're exhausted. I'm exhausted too, but it's a good exhaustion.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if you put on the ultimate rock show for an audience, there's going to be somewhat a little bit of exhaustion, but it's well worth it, I'm sure.
Absolutely. If anything happens and my life comes to an end, as they say, I think that I got a great deal of good things out of this world, and I'm blessed. And every day I thank God for everything and all the good people in this world and where I'm going, because I know that He's got great plans for me. And anybody that comes to the show, as I said before, will hopefully enjoy it as much as I enjoy it.
Oh, the very last thing I promised I want to ask you is this just popped in my head. Being a guy who started out as a photographer shooting other bands, I was curious. You must have guys, photographers shooting you when you're performing. What's that like? You ever tell them, hey, I know a better way to shoot the film, or you just kind of let them?
You're right, but I can't do that right now because And then again, sometimes when I'm doing a song and I'll have somebody jump the stage, and you got to have somebody. We have security. You got to do it in a nice way so that you don't, they're pulling the microphone. I'm trying to keep with the song, and it gets to the point where people think it's part of the show.
Wow.
And to a certain degree, they become part of the show, which is funny too. And as long as you do it with a lot of grace and a lot of good feeling, they're having a good time too. And that's I love it.
Well, Steve, once again, it's been great talking. I'm going to let you go now because I know you're very busy, but I just want to say Happy New Year and Merry Christmas and all that, and maybe we'll do this again in the near future, but I'll let you know the minute the interview goes up, so please take care of yourself.
You too, and a very Merry Christmas to everyone, and may they have the best New Year for 2015 and health and happiness. That's the best gifts they can ever have, and love each other like you've never loved before, okay?
Okay, rock on, my friend. Take care. Bye-bye.